Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning. All right, plans today, huh? Heading out, going somewhere, I don't know, grocery shopping, Home Depot, the mall, go have dinner somewhere. What are you going to do if all of a sudden violence pops up in front of you? Just a question, okay? What if somebody tries to kidnap you, your wife, your daughter, your kids, yourself? Okay. What are you going to do? I say that not just, it's a thought. Because in the last week, we have heard horrific stories, if you will, about this Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, has now infiltrated all the major cities in Tennessee, where I live. Okay. Now, when they say major cities, I guess Knoxville is not considered one because original reports said everywhere, but now TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, is saying they have no confirmed activity of Tren de Aragua in Knoxville. Okay. But Memphis, but Nashville. The same thing going on here that was going on in Aurora, Colorado, that was going on in Dallas, Texas, and maybe coming to your town, if not already there soon. Okay. This group of people is, again, going in, just like they did in Colorado, taking over apartments, okay? Not necessarily these monster apartment complexes, but, hey, it's got 2 or 3 buildings, they can control that. They are actively involved in human trafficking, which means kidnapping. We've talked about here, I've given you examples here of stories of people that have been watched or snatched right out of the Walmart that's local to me. Not saying that's Tren de Aragua, okay, but that's kidnapping and human trafficking. Don't forget we still have MS-13 running around too, and the cartels running around too, okay. Let's not forget, there's not just one group of people doing this. But the interesting part, and this is why I say could already be there with you, and maybe TBI just isn't familiar with Knoxville, is the federal government has already said that these gang members who usually are covered in tattoos and you can tell who they are, those aren't the guys that are doing this. They are using less obvious people to be the boots on the ground, if you will. Maybe they don't have face tattoos all over the place. It's getting cold outside, so maybe they're not running around in wife beaters and jeans around their ass or something. Maybe they're dressed a little bit more normal. You got to pay attention to what's going on before you become a victim, because you can become a victim in seconds. I mean, go listen to the 911 calls that were released about Lake and Riley and how fast that all went down, okay? 1 second you're walking out to your car with your groceries, the next second you're bound and gagged in the back of a van heading up the highway somewhere on your way to being shipped down to Mexico to be put in a slave trade somewhere. Yeah, that's how quick it happens. You got to be very careful out there these days, because as much as we want to talk about politics and political enemies, they're the cause, not the effect, okay? Open borders was the cause of all the problems. Tren de Aragua, MS-13, the cartels here are the effect of those actions. The thing that really gets me, and we were talking about this at dinner last night, is how this has, I don't want to say pitted people against each other, but makes everybody look out of their corner of their eye at somebody worried. And I'll give you this as an example. Remember after 9/11, okay, airplane, I'm not getting into the conspiracies on there. I'm just going to go with this, okay? Airplanes hijacked by Muslim terrorists, radical Islam, going into the Pentagon, Shanksville, the World Trade Center. Again, I'm not getting into your conspiracy theories here. But the sentiment, if you will, across the country for any Arab-born American or Arab American or any Arab period, okay? All of a sudden, everybody, regardless of who they were, was looked at as though they were a terrorist, which obviously isn't true. But that was the problem. And I would venture to guess that there's still people that look at everybody like that, albeit wrong, as though, oh, they're a potential terrorist, okay, just because of their appearance. This is the same problem. This is the same problem we have now with Hispanics. And as we were talking with dinner last night, okay, and I made the one comment, I said, I challenge anybody to dispute this. Hispanics are probably the hardest working ethnic group I've ever seen, okay? They'll, as a group, go out and do the jobs that nobody else wants to do. They will work hard. They will work all day. They will work in miserable conditions, in dangerous conditions, and they will get the job done faster than anybody else, and usually with better quality, okay? And the problem we run into now is that those people are getting looked at out of the corner of their eye like the Muslims were looked out of the corner of their eye 20 years ago. And that's just plain wrong. And I blame all this on Barack Obama. Now, granted, Barack Obama wasn't president 9/11, okay? But ever since his policy of divisiveness during his presidency to attempt to divide the country by race, this is what we have. We see all the identity politics of the Democrat Party. They've got to get the black vote. They've got to get the Hispanic vote. They've got to get the Jewish vote. They've got to get the woman vote. And I'm looking at this going, notice how nobody ever talks about getting the American vote? I don't give a rat's ass if you're black, if you're Hispanic, if you're Asian, if you're Indian, if you're male, if you're female, provided, of course, you can define them, who you are, what you look like, doesn't matter to me. As long as you're American. You're two things here. You're either American or you're a tourist. That's it, okay? This illegal alien crap, this foreign worker crap, no, okay? Either you are an American or you're here as a tourist. That's it, in my opinion. And I know there's people that'll bitch and say, well, we need those workers. No, we don't, okay? We don't need all those foreign-born workers to do anything. There's plenty of Americans who will do all the jobs. The problem is that the companies don't want to pay the Americans to do the jobs when they can get cheap foreign labor. That's the thing. Just make up money or make up numbers. If an American wants $1,000 to do the job, but some foreign-born worker will do it for $100 because in his country he could make $10, yeah, that's a problem, okay? And I hope to God one of the first things that Trump does is federally mandate EVerify, okay? Sorry, you have to be an American citizen. Otherwise, we start fining companies out of business, okay? $1,000 an hour fine for every illegal that's working for you, okay? Period. You want to pay him $6 an hour? Great. It's going to cost you $1,006 because you got to pay a fine to the federal government of $1,000. Period. Oh, it puts you out of business? Doesn't that suck? You should have hired Americans first. But that's my whole point. We have to keep our head on a swivel. We've been forced, if you will, to look at our fellow Americans that may look different than us with a skeptical eye because of the identity politics that the government has forced upon us. By the one bad apple that's roiled, can't get that one out. One bad apple that spoiled the bunch, okay? Everybody else suffers. It's no different than the media pouring over, we had a white cop kill a black guy, we need to put it all over the media for 2 weeks and send him to prison forever, right? And then, of course, they do the same thing now, with anything else. They're trying to stoke racial tensions straight out of Orwell's 1984, okay? They look different than you. They must be a threat. 99.9% of them are not. However, you have to pay attention because of the idiotic policies that these politicians have put into place of everybody. Because now, when you have the bad apples trying to camouflage themselves, trying to pretend to assimilate into civilized society, you don't know if that person coming down the aisle the opposite way from you at the grocery store is looking to buy a bag of corn or looking to grab your kid. That's the America we live in because of these policies. And unfortunately, we now have to look at everybody through a skeptical eye. I'm sorry, I'm a pessimist. Or I'm sorry, I'm an optimist. There we go. Yeah, you can tell it's early. I'm an optimist. I want to see the best in everybody. But I will pay attention to your actions and I will figure out who you are very quickly. Trust, but verify, right? Those famous words. Be careful out there. Know that the gang members are infiltrating cities and towns everywhere. I feel sorry for them if they start getting out in the rural areas because, well, a lot of the city dwellers are sheep. Nobody out in the country is. This is it. A lot of times you get out in the country, it's shoot first, ask questions later. Hopefully, Donald Trump, Tom Homan can get rid of all these guys. But you got to remember, these gang members, they're not going to voluntarily or easily go to get deported. Personally, I have no problem shipping them back to Venezuela in body bags. Pinball out.